Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine heirs. Today is June the 3rd, 1442 on the ancient moon calendar and 1441 on the ancient sun calendar and 2021 on the Greco-Roman calendar. So we're going to talk about the furthering of the empire and ways to continue growing the empire, because the empire belongs to all of us. And now is the most opportune time. Everything is aligned properly the way it should be, because we've all been doing our demonstrations, and we've been competently letting everyone know who we are and that we're awake. So one of the ways, we've done many things over the last few months. One of the ways that we are furthering the empire is by beginning to enforce the Constitution where gold-backed money is concerned, where lawful tender is concerned, gold and silver coins, etc. And so we want to speak briefly about coinage and about currency and tender and fiat and all of that, so that we are clear on what exactly it is that we are doing and what it is we're rebutting, because we're the Moorish sovereign dollarium is the rebuttal, the people's rebuttal to fiat, Federal Reserve debt notes. And the reason, and when I say the people, I mean all people who choose to enforce the Constitution with dollarium, with Moorish sovereign dollarium. And again, we said yesterday that all of the consulates and all of the, including the ones over in the other lands, the UK, Japan, Kuala Lumpur, China, Indonesia, Guyana, French Guyana, Thailand, all of the consulates will be given dollarium to begin using, because it's the only gold-backed money that there is. And the reason it has any value is because we say it does. It's backed by, first, our full faith and credit. And so we're going to talk a little bit about definitions of money and currency and all of that, because if our sovereign status and our consent to use Federal Reserve debt notes gave it value, then how much more our own money? Because and I'm mainly responding to those who have some doubt about the Moorish sovereign dollarium and about how valuable and how priceless it is, really, because we're saying this is the proper lawful rebuttal. According to the Federal Reserve Act of 1913, anyone who uses Federal Reserve debt notes is contracting to be a Federal Reserve agent. That's, I believe, Article 13 of the Federal Reserve Act of 1913. And whenever you agree to be a Federal Reserve agent, you are held under and bound by corporate practices and policies. And that's why no matter what the hybrids, the foreign colonizers do, they always require at a minimum one Federal Reserve debt note, no matter what they're doing. For the entire Louisiana purchase, according to the corporate, which is not valid, according to the corporate version of the Louisiana purchase is not valid. Let me preface that. They rendered and tendered 200 Federal Reserve notes for all of that land. 200 notes for all of that land. And if it's not done by the heirs, it's not valid. So that was them putting their corporate covering over that which is already ours. Federal Reserve notes and the use thereof is the same thing as the corpses putting their corporate covering and hiring attorneys and all of that, and fake judges. Federal Reserve debt notes is the same thing because it puts corporate, quote-unquote, authority over the exchange, whatever that exchange is, any property, and anyone passing that. And so I stopped carrying that stuff around. I know, and further proof of that is when I went to the POW camp in February, I showed in the paperwork where they were saying, no cash, no this, no that, one pair of pants and all of that kind of stuff. We don't carry it. So, because we're not Federal Reserve agents. So now we're starting to carry around more sovereign dollarium in our, and the energy is completely different. That's why I cannot wait to get it out, because the energy was different. Even as I was printing it, it was sitting on the table giving off energy that just gave me chills. And so I can't wait for all of us to use it. So let's look at some of the definitions, okay, and for those who want the dollarium, we've already started receiving in the Al-Moroccan American Exchange emails requesting the inheritance packet, and it's by way of the inheritance packet, Islam Empress, by way of the inheritance packet that we were able to print up the dollarium and then tribute it, because the packet has the proper in red and all lowercase letters documents. So, and we do want, as we demonstrate the dollarium, we want to ensure that everyone has at least one set of documents in red and all lowercase letters. I was asked a question on YouTube about those who have documents from other Moorish governments. And that is absolutely fine with us, that you have documents from other governments. We honor the government. We do have documents that we would like for you to fill out as well and put your sovereign autograph on them in addition to your documents. So again, we honor all other governments, all Moorish governments, and your documents are welcome, but we do have some so that you can claim your the companies that you want to step up and support, and not only support, but operate. Make sure that the documents that you receive from us, that you go ahead and fill those out and sign them as well, so that we know which companies that you choose as your inheritance and choose as that which you choose to grow. Okay, the empire is growing day by day as we speak. So I want to look at the definition of, first, all rise and stand. This is a sovereign, living, ancient Article 3, Moorish American, Al-Moroccan consular court action. I am Sovereign Living Justice Pauline Denise Ritchie in capitis diminution nolo in red ink in propria persona sui juris in proprio solo and in proprio heredes. My free chosen sovereign appellation, national appellation, is like to jury bay in capitis diminution nolo in red ink in propria persona sui juris in proprio solo and in proprio heredes. We are the original indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites and Canaanites. Our full faith and credit, our full faith and trust, our allegiance and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original indigenous, natural divine, de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We hereby exercise all sovereign rights at all times, non-pro-tunc. So let's look at the definition of money. And this definition is from an 1828 Webster's dictionary. And the further down you go in the definition, the older the definition because it is unabridged. So it goes from the most recent definition that was given by that time all the way down to the original definition that was given before that time. Money. It is number one right here, standard pieces of gold, silver, copper, nickel, etc., stamped by government authority and used as a medium of exchange and measure of value. Coin or coins, also hard money. Just one moment. Can you all hear me? I just want to be sure. And Noble, if you can't hear anything, you may want to sign out and sign back in. It's on. B, 1B says, any paper note issued by a government or an authorized bank and used in the same way. Banknote bills, also called paper money. Number 2, any substance or article used as money, such as banknotes, checks, etc. 3, any definite or indefinite sum of money. 4, property, possessions, wealth. And yes, Moorish sovereign delarium is wealth. 5, any form or denomination of legally current money. Legally current money. Current is what gives money its label of currency. 6, a money of account, which we've mentioned money of account many times. 7, sums of money, now used chiefly in law. And 7 is the oldest of the definitions because, again, this is from an unabridged dictionary. And where it says now used chiefly in law, that just means the same thing that we've been saying. All law is commerce. And for us, it must be equitable. And in order for it to be equitable, it has to be aligned with the Constitution. So we've been in, in our sleep, we were in courts that were not equitable. They were not constitutional, and there was no real money changing hands, although people were being taken and being told that they have to give a certain amount of bond money, quote unquote. A little further down in this dictionary, they start giving different uses for the word, such as conscience money, fiat money, and then they say see under fiat. So we're going to look at fiat and what that means. because we know we've been using fiat thinking that we were using money until we woke up and were given the real definition and looked up the definitions and knew what we were doing. And then it says for one's money, which means for one's choice, which is important, and in one's opinion. And then to say that one is in the money, that means they are among the winners, as in a contest, a race, etc. Or that it means that they are prosperous, wealthy, and successful as a slave, when you say someone is in the money. Money bill, which is kind of an oxymoron. A legislative bill for raising revenue and for making appropriations of public money. And then to make money, to gain profit, to become wealthy. Well, we have made our own money literally. And that's all of us. All of us. Because we called it forth, all of us. We've been telling them that their money's fake, 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 and we're not going to pay what they say to pay because it's not real. We have called forth literally our own money. To gain profit, to become wealthy. We've made ourselves wealthy just by saying this is our money and this is what we're going to use. And it's real and yours is fake. The same way we did with our courts. We said your courts are fraud. Well, where are the real courts? We do court action. To put money on means to bet on. And then money as a verb transitive is to furnish money to, or to give money to. So let's look at fiat. And this is where, you know, a lot of the programming comes in at. Fiat, to become or to come into existence. Number one is an order issued by a legal authority, usually beginning with fiat, let it be done, which is a decree. A sanction, an authorization. Fiat money, paper currency, made legal tender by law. Well, who's the law? The ones using it, which was us. By law or fiat, which is decree, or the use of it, actually, although not backed by gold or silver and not necessarily redeemable in coin. So that makes it completely unconstitutional. You'll be able to get back in. It's not locked, Justice. It's not locked. You'll be able to get back in. Islam. So now, where fiat is concerned, these definitions are simply saying that the law has said that it is made legal tender. It's been made legal tender by law. We are the law and we are the government. And when we speak and make a proclamation about something, then that's let it be done. So mote it be, ashe. And also by our actions. Our actions said that fiat had some value. So they took it and they used it and issued it and all of that because we're the ones who gave it the value. By the same measure, we're the ones giving the Moorish sovereign dollarium its value. So some people say, well, where's the gold that's backing this? You're looking at it. You're looking at it. You're looking at the same thing that was backing, whose full faith and credit was backing fiat, and giving something that had absolutely no value an exchange value. So how much more that which we create? So now, currency. Let's look at that word, because we've heard it stated that money is not currency and so forth and so on, and we know that fiat is not money. Fiat is only valuable because the law says it is, which is us. We're the law. So currency, and in Moorish Latin it is currentia, a current, from the Latin currens, which means to run. Number one, literally a flowing, a running, or passing, a continued or uninterrupted course like that of a stream, as the currency of time. So those sound like energy and electricity and vibration and frequency words. Flowing, running, passing, that's energy. Two, a continual passing from hand to hand, as of coins or bills of credit. Circulation. Circulation is a body word. That is a word for anatomy and physiology. Blood circulates. And now we know, so does currency. That's what that word is about, energy. And the same currency that we have flowing through our veins is the same currency that our ancestors had flowing through theirs. That's what makes it so amazing. The blood has not changed. So whenever we, like if we get a paper cut and we see that blood that comes from the paper cut, that is the exact same blood that our ancestors had, all the way back since time immemorial. It has not changed. Mother gave us that energy, that currency. Islam, justice. So now let's look a little further at currency. Number 3 says that which is current, okay, that's a time word. Now, since time immemorial, we're it, okay? Yes, Justice Yezreel, you always bring the heat with the word. Circulate, circle. Eternal. That's us. That is not any type of corporation. That's us. Circle. Infinity. Yes. Now let's think about the circle church. The circle church. The circle church. And what did the circle church, the fake circle church, what did the fake circle church continue to tell the members they had to do? Right? Islam. And I want to just say something really quick about some of the things that are in the chat. It's awesome. I love every single thing that's in the chat, including what the hybrid put in the chat, where they said, Pauline has 3 warrants out for her arrest. Isn't 3 a spell? Actually, it's 4, because I issued one on that thing that you're talking about too, on January 1st. So it's out there on YouTube. Go have a look. I issued a warrant for that one too. And this is the beauty of all of that. Our courts, speaking of which, because our court, see, this is why the fiat thing had to be properly rebutted. Because our courts had to be underwritten by truth. So that when we issue warrants for debt, which is those things in black ink and capital letters, when we issue warrants for that debt, we'd have the goal to rebut it. That way they can't hold you on that. You can't be held on debt when you got credit right in your hand. So it's going to behoove us to even carry the larium in keep it on us at all times. The same way people would keep silver coins and gold coins on them, keeping delarium on you is going to have the same benefit, even greater benefit. The more of us that do it, the more effective it will be. There's strength in our numbers. A circle, yes, has no beginning and no end. Yes, Islam in the chat. And yes, Justice Yezreel, for honor. In order for us to be honorable, we must have honorable money. So let's keep looking at currency, because the energy on our land has been debt energy. And that's why Moors have been being taken. It's debt. That's another reason why. There are several reasons why, but that's another one. Moors have been being taken because debt energy, we allowed debt energy to run around on our land and just run rampant and be lawless and do whatever it wants to do. So now we have a rebuttal to that even. And that's real money. We define money, so we know delarium is money, because our full faith and credit is there. So currency, number 3, let's look at that one. That which is current or in circulation as a medium or conveyance method of trade or exchange as paper currency. And we know that our trusts are set up as express trust where exchange is concerned. So we're not buying and we're not selling. It's because our land is unalienable and inalienable. So we're not buying and selling, it's exchange and accounting or counting. And in order for us to do that properly, we have to be using our own currency that we created. We cannot use something that's not backed by anything to try and account for the tangible, for the estate, the living estate. Number 4, general estimation, common acceptance, the rate at which anything is generally valued. That is really what it's for. Those are accounting principles there. Accounting principles. Mode of payment, yes, there it is again in the chat, Justice Yezreel. Mode of payment sets jurisdiction. And that is why we were so determined that this had to be done, because we are saying, and we are the sovereign jurisdiction. We have to prove that. We have to prove it, and you can't prove it if you keep bringing corruption into it. We cannot prove that if we keep bringing corruption into it. Nothing in a vast estate is corruption. Something that is not worth anything in our estate, where everything we touch turns to gold, then that means there's something corrupt in there. We are the sovereign jurisdiction from start to finish, and we are proving it every day by the things that we do. here, they usually give a sentence or something like that in this definition to illustrate the definition that they've given. And the sentence that they've put here is, he takes greatness of kingdoms according to their bulk and currency and not after intrinsic value. Now, someone named Bacon said that. Currency, bulk. No one has an estate that has currency and bulk like the heirs. And the currency flowing through our estate has everything to do with the energy. The war energy stops. Yes, the same one, Francis Bacon in the chat. Yes, 0 and 0, both worth null. Yes, Justice Jerome Moore, that is correct. So we cannot have that corruption in our vast estate. It says fractional currency, coins or paper money. Now fractional currency, oh, let's do number 5, the time during which anything is current. That's important. We keep saying it's our time, and that's true. 100% now that we have our own money, our own currency, it is our time literally, because we have brought all of our vast estate under our control. The entire estate is under our control. From the money to the treasury to the law to the court to the commerce, everything. Because see, when the money comes under our control, and when I say our, I mean all of us, of course. Of course, it's all more. When the money and the law both are under the one authority, which they've always been, we just didn't know it, then it's a wrap on everything else. All we have to do now is continue to demonstrate, to learn, and to study. Let me unlock it for just a moment. To study, to learn that which we've been studying to know at this point, up to now, which is all about us. It's all about us. Yes, Islam. So, let's see. Fractional currency. And we know that the hybrids have been doing some fractional fiat Federal Reserve debt note type of calculation, which is what they based everything on for the fake fiat currency and that fake system. It says coins or paper money in circulation worth less than the monetary unit, so you know that that's them. As the dime is fractional currency, being worth less than the standard unit, the dollar. And that's pretty standard among all that, you know, in money speak, in the economic language. Fractional currency, but they were doing fractional reserve banking. That is the phrase that I was looking for in my mind. Fractional reserve banking. So paper currency is paper issued as a substitute for money. The certificates issued by a government or by a bank on the authority of a government. And again, that's paper currency, and fractional currency is not the same as money, like what we have. Ours is money because we've already defined money. Let's just go back through that again. Let's look at money one more time. Money. It says standard pieces of gold, silver, copper, nickel, etc., sent by government authority. And again, there's only one government. That's the Moors. And used as a medium of exchange and measure of value, coin or coins, also called hard money. And then B, as the definition for money, any paper note issued by a government or an authorized bank and used in the same way. Banknotes, bills, also called paper money. So under the definition of money, they also put paper money. That's why we have to write the dictionaries, because you know, hybrids when they write them. So let's continue. Current as an adjective means to run or to hasten. Running, flowing, passing, rare. That means that's a rare definition of current as an adjective. Now, we want to look at the definition of tender, because the Article 1 of the Constitution mentions tender, gold coin in tender as tender in payment of debt. Now, when reviewing the definition of tender, because I looked through this definition carefully because it is mentioned, keep in mind as we look at this definition that a sovereign cannot be prosecuted in their own court. Okay, we are the law and we are the government. We cannot be prosecuted in our own court. So let's look at this definition. One moment. It says, tender, noun, an offer of money, services, etc., made to satisfy an obligation in order to avoid prosecution. And that's why tender is used on their money. Okay? It's to avoid prosecution. But when we say tender, then it means that someone has an obligation to us, and if they don't fulfill their obligation to us, then there is prosecution for that. That's why our courts were so important. Our courts mean everything. That is how you stay out of those fake courts. That's how you stay out of those fake courts. Have your own money and have your own court. Now, I do have a question in my mind about how for many years we did not see certain ones in those fake courts. We didn't see the ones that were doing business as Hasidic Jews. We didn't see them in those courts. The ones with the curl on the side and the black hat with the big white brim. You know, we didn't see them in those fake courts. Well, what were they using for money? If they were able to stay out of those courts, we know they had their own court in their neighborhood. We know that for sure. They actually used their own temples as their courts, which is what we should have been doing. So now I want to know, what were they using for money if they had their own courts? And what is it about their courts that kept them out of those fake courts if they didn't have their own money? That means they know something that we did not know. I have seen firsthand from them. Okay, I can't call that firsthand because it's not firsthand where I saw it right in my hand, because our hand is the first hand. But I know that they used paper, and at one point they tried to start using gold coins. And the minute they tried to start using gold coins as currency, which is a no-no because the Moors didn't say you could do that, they started filling up the jails with those people. They started putting them in jail. There is a Hasidic Jew on the internet that I watch every now and then because he has a lot of wisdom. He knows exactly who he is. He knows he's a servant of the Moors. And he gives a lot of information, and he goes into the prison and talks with other Hasidic Jews who've been put there and gives them comfort and aid, which we're grateful that he does that. But we didn't know that, and I'm sure they were not aware that things had switched up and they couldn't keep doing that. They couldn't keep, because see, they were going a little far in pretending to be us. And the minute they started trying to change up the money, they started being put in jail, you know. So we wish them the best as well. We created them too, and that's why I listen to him. He knows that. He's aware of their status, you know. There's some war energy in the chat that I'm going to put out of here. I'm about to put you out. That's war energy, and we don't do war energy in here. So here. Goodbye. Now, back to the piece. They come back really quickly when you put them out. Get out of here. Okay. I'm going to lock it so that we keep the war out. As we were saying previously, we love all of our creation, and the reason that we're standing up, yes, we've been through some things, but the reason we're standing up too is for protection of our creation too. We want to protect them too. That's why we're standing up. So there's no more war. We know who we are, and we know that the whole earth is waiting on us to do what we have to do, because when God speaks, the whole earth listens. And God is all Moors, Islam. So, tender, let's look at number 2, a formal offer as of marriage, contractual terms, etc. Oh, Moors. We've been contracting with them by using that. We've been having intercourse with the dead by using the fiat, the Federal Reserve debt notes. That's necrophilia. That's why you see that in the hieroglyphs. We've been having commercial intercourse with the dead. We can't do that. And now that we have stood them up, all rise and stand. That's why we say what we say. All rise and stand. No more dead, no more death on this land. And as we stand them up, we have to properly provide for everyone, including ourselves first. Yes, Justice Theodore, another bond for the stock exchange is what that fiat is, those Federal Reserve debt notes. It's another contract. So every serial number, on the Federal Reserve debt notes went on to the stock exchange, and whenever you use one of those in your exchanges and in the things that you were doing, it was noted. It was noted that we have more circulation of the dead debt by the heirs who don't know that they're not supposed to be doing that. It is a spell, absolutely. That's why they put capital letters all over it and put the symbols and symbology and sigils and signs on the Federal Reserve debt note, so that they. And now, I'll say this. Yes, Justice Theodore. We all were Agent Smith or something like that whenever we're passing fiat, Federal Reserve debt notes. So let's wind that down. some people may not be able to, and this is the thing. Some Moors may not be able to just cut it off all at once, but when you know better, you do better. So take your time. Don't make any harsh moves in your life, but slowly but surely get rid of that. You know, just use your card and use the sovereign credits in the sovereign resource account, which is called bank account. That's how I do it. I don't pass Federal Reserve debt notes. In as much as I cannot do it, because every now and then a Moor will show up and you know, and so I've gotten to the point where I just say, you know what, no thank you. And I honor that they want to give, because sometimes the programming of the sense of obligation is there. It's like someone wanting to give you a gift and you don't take the gift because you don't want to take the gift because of, you know, the nature of it. But they want to give and they feel like they want to give, you know. So that's why we put it on the public record that we don't take it. So let's see. Islam Justice Jeremore in the chat. We love the ones that were doing business as Hasidic Jews. We love them. We love them. We love all of our creation. We love the hybrids. We love the animals. We love the earth. We love all of that. This we must do. So, are there any questions or comments of any kind, or any wisdom that you want to share? I'm going to put the meeting, and I already know I'm going to have to throw a couple of hybrids out, so they'll probably start talking a little bit. I'll just throw them out, and we'll continue. I'm going to put everyone on mute, and then you can star 6 to unmute yourselves if you want to. Yes, Islam Empress. Justice Gio put something in the chat.
Please, Pauline, we're waiting for
Justice Gio, did you want to talk about what you put in the chat?
Islam. I just put that there because it was quite an interesting little experience. We're standing in the line at the post office, and another postal customer in the province was speaking to me, and then she came up and she started to speak. And she started to just talking, telling me a lot about what's going on. And so we walk outside now, and I'm getting ready to leave. And she asked me, can you tell me something about you? And she started to again explain to me that she was white and how did black people feel about them. I said, you're not white and I'm not black. But however, we don't need to argue that. You know it. So if you're Jewish and you say you are, and I said, are you practicing Jew? She said, well, yes, I do. I said, then you should know those questions you're asking me. However, you know, what is it that you wanted to talk about? And she says, you know, God is. And as she said that, she stopped talking, and I'm watching her carefully. And she says, my hands, my skin is tingling and my hair is standing on end. What's going on? I didn't say a thing. I just kept watching her. And she was flabbergasted when I explained to her. I said, you know, if you want to know that you're not white, in fact, you're pale. And I'm not black.
True.
In fact, I'm white. But white and black are not colors. They're status. And the status of white is noble and lord of the land. Boy.
Yes.
She didn't like that very much. However, she did take it. And the interesting thing about it was she tells me she's an empath. And as soon as she brings up the question about God, she starts to tremble and tingle.
Yeah.
And I never said anything because the urge came to me, you know, you're talking about God, you're in the presence of God. But I just explained it like I said, you know, God, actually, the acronym is generator, operator, deconstructor. She said, oh, do you have a card? I told her where to look to find that information. She went off. So it's just interesting that people know, and they're knowing it, walking into the post office. Everybody is looking around, and I didn't even have my fez on. I have one of my cap, the black cap, with the flag in the middle of it on the front. And I always wear my badge when I go and somebody asks me what it is. I take it off and give them. I say, take a look at it.
And you will notice it wasn't your post office, it was the regular people's post.
Go ahead.
The beasts, you know, like this one, they really, when they see me, they put their head down and walk away. They can't ever look. They know they can't look you in the eye because they're scared. But I just wanted to pass that on because that was an interesting experience to have, particularly today when I was in a hurry to go out and get back. I really didn't want to go talk to anybody, and I ended up having to talk to two of them, so I gave them the best I could in a minute or two. And I just wanted to share that on the Islam.
Islam. Slowly but surely, the hybrid is beginning to get in their rightful. Well, they're already in their rightful place. We know that. They are standing subjects on the land, risen from the dead, and standing as subjects before the gods. They're starting to want to have those conversations right there. As we move into this next phase, I kind of keep in mind the 3 questions rule in any court. And so I don't allow them to ask any questions at all because they already know. They knew from the beginning. And anyone who thinks that they don't know, just keep living and you'll see. They've always known who we are. And they know everything about us, and that's how they knew how to test us. They know when to back down.
Go take over a real building, and then we'll take you seriously,
when we're starting to, you know, if we start to war, they will, you know, they know what to do. And then when we get peaceful, they know what to do and everything. So, you know, let's, you know, but we'll pick, you know, as we continue to wake up, we will see that they've always known who God is. It is impossible for a creature not to know who created them. It's impossible. So, having our own money is yet another milestone in our growth and ascension on the land, because it's going to change And it won't be long. Now, I'll say this about the money. It is going to change over time. It's going to change over time in terms of the way it looks. And then at some point, we're going to introduce coinage. We're also going to be changing the paper that it's on. Right now, it's on linen paper. But you can put it on any natural paper, cotton, linen, etc., and print it out. But we are going to, we found some other type of paper. It's gold infused. And we're going to be putting it on that as well to see how it prints out and how it looks and all of that. But we have what we need to get commerce started. And all of it is honored. All more sovereign dollarian Islam. So in the chat there is a question that what will the, let's see, it says, what will the rest of mankind use, rainbow currency? We will cross that bridge when we get to it, because they have to use gold coinage too, gold or silver. Silver is the common man's metal, just so that you all are aware. The common man is mankind. Silver is their metal, and they will tell you that. That's why they're always so concerned about the price of silver. Okay? They're also going to be, first of all, it's only going to be according to our prophet. This is not me saying this. This is our prophet. He said that there was going to be about 7 or 8% of them left here. Once everything is the way it should be in terms of the commerce and all of that. They're going to be doing bartering and exchanging and things like that, and that's another reason why many of them have moved on out into the woods and gone up into the mountains. They're going to be doing bartering and exchanging, which is lawful as well, as long as it's, because they're going to be using things from the land to do so as well. So they're not going to be, we're not going to leave them out until they all turn into skeletons or die of hunger. That's not going to happen. We don't do that. That's not how we operate. So they're going to be fine. They know what to do, and they know how to take care of themselves. Our job right now is to make sure that the gods are okay. And it's each one of our responsibility to make sure first that we are okay, and then and then assist our brothers and sisters in being okay and doing well. And that comes with demonstrating our sovereign status, where everything is concerned. We have everything we need right now. We have our own money, we have our own court, and we have the land which we can use, and we have our own company and everything. And we have the authority to do it, because we are the authority. So from this point, it's just continuing to uplift. And in the chat, someone put the word black can be traced back to its Proto-Indo-European origins through the word black, B-L-A-C, which meant pale. Yes, black means pale or colorless. It says albino. In Old English, black meant black person meant fair, someone devoid of color, similar to the word blank, which still means white or fair. Islam. Thank you for that. Yes, Justice Theodore put something interesting in the chat. He put something in the chat that says, they are all asleep. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And in a way, that's correct. they kind of can't use anything against us because when we're in our rightful place, there's nothing they can say that's against us. Nothing. Absolutely nothing they can say that's against us. When we're using, and that's why our language, our speech, and our writing is so important. When we write in red and all lowercase letters, that can't be used against us because it's outside of corporate jurisdiction. So is ancient English. So their intention may be to take anything we say and use it against us, but it's impossible when we're in our rightful status, in our rightful place. And even if we did say something, and I do it all the time, but I'm getting better at that. Even if we did say something that was incongruent with our status, we can immediately invoke jurisdiction, change it right on the spot, and it becomes the law as soon as we say it. So the same thing goes for our money and the Moroccan American exchange and all. We say this is the law, and that is in alignment with our ancestors and what they said. So who's going to argue? No one. Because it's the law. Ancient law from way back, since time immemorial. So I'm going to be doing demonstrations, and again, I've stated that I'm going to be sending out notification before I start using the Dollarium in the territory, but I will be using it shortly in the format that you see on the screen. I'm going to be sending out notifications to all of the everywhere out in the territory. Anyone who has, who needs to know. Policy enforcers, state courts, just to put them on notice. Who else? Oh, banks, grocery stores, everywhere. I'm putting them all on notice that we have our own money, and we'll be publishing those. The documents that I put out, I'll be publishing them, so that we can see them and see what they say. And then if there's any wisdom that you want to add to the document.
Grocery stores need a good laugh, too.
Please.
Grocery.
I'm sorry, what did you say? Did you say something? Okay. Oh, no. So, again, we're at peace. We're not warring with anybody. Are there any other comments, questions, wisdom that you want to add, or anything of that nature? With regard to the Dollarium, let me just check the chat. Yes, mankind will they'll be bartering and exchanging Islam.
Yes, point of interest.
Islam.
And peace be upon us. And thank you for all the great work that you've done for us. I've been following you since 2018, and it's been amazing work, and it helped me out tremendously. And I just can't stop studying and following all the things that you do. I just want to say that. The other thing I want to say was I stepped into the bank and I gave them my check, and I asked the teller if he was giving me cash or money, because there's a difference between cash and money. And they said they weren't giving me money, they were giving me cash. So, I did the lean thing on them. But my thing is that none of these guys ever called it money. They called it cash, and they never put a dollar sign or the word money on the fiat note. Yeah. So, giving us more power, our dollar is really money. When we speak money, that's real money,
Yeah.
I yield.
Yes, that is beautiful. I'm going to look up the word cash now that you brought it up. I should have probably put that one on the screen too. Let me pull up my dictionary.
And the word dollar, it trickles down to.
Yeah.
So those things are not
Mm-hmm.
even money, you know?
Yeah. Federal Reserve debt notes. They're not even, I don't think they're even dollars. I think they're just Federal Reserve debt notes.
They're just
debt.
numbers. It doesn't say a dollar. It doesn't have a dollar sign on it, and it doesn't say money. So it's just 5 or a 10 or 100. It doesn't say money on it.
So it's basically just like really nothing.
Nothing.
But again, that's the point though, Nobility. That's great that you said that, because the only thing that gave it value was that the heirs were using it. It's not even the hybrids. The hybrids didn't give it any value. We did. And that's the only reason that the rest of the earth said, well, if the heirs say that it's money, I guess we have to use it. And then as soon as we said, cut all contracts with the United States Corporation Company, everybody on the earth cut the contract with the United States Corporation Company. And now they're saying, okay, you all have to do it too. Hold for just one moment. That's a beautiful point. Let me look up cash. Just one moment.
So, my thing is, this whole time I had my bank account depositing my check expecting money, and they've been giving me cash. They need to give me back the money because they still owe it to me. They've never given me the money for my checks this whole time.
Let me say this about that.
But not that
they never had any money to give you.
Exactly.
They never had any money to give you.
So they still owe me my
They
checks.
never had any.
So they still owe me my checks because I didn't gift it. Well, they took it as a gift. So, when we cancel our contracts, that's us taking back that gift. I yield.
Okay. Yes, Islam. Hold on 1 second, y'all. Okay. So, in light of that, Nobility, the point is they never had any cash to give you. That's why we had to do what we're doing right now. We actually have to give them real money to give back to us. Because if you think about it, they've been producing Federal Reserve debt notes and then giving us the Federal Reserve debt notes while they take our energy. And then when they give us the Federal Reserve debt notes, then they turn right around. They'll give it to us under one corporate name, like whatever the name of the job is, the corporate job. They'll give it under that name, and then they'll turn around and call themselves a debtor corporation, like the IRS in all capital letters and black ink, and turn around and take that same energy, currency, money, or fiat rather. And when I say energy, they were giving it on one hand and taking it with the other. They never had real money to give to you. They never had real gold to give to you. All of that belongs to us, and the only way any of that can be tributed is in any measure is if we do it. So now we're the Federal Reserve in all lowercase letters in red. We're the United States Treasury in red and all lowercase letters. We're all of that. We're the Internal Revenue Service in red and all lowercase letters. And so, we had to produce and originate our own money in order for anybody to get paid anything real. That's why we had to do this with the Moorish sovereign dollarium. And so all Moors get Moorish sovereign dollarium, red documents in red and all lowercase letters, and then your sovereign autograph is going to be on your money. So each Moor that gets their money, their sovereign autograph, you have to actually sign it in red, wet ink signature, white red thumbprint if you're going to use it. That's the only thing that makes it valid. Your autograph is your full faith and credit in your own money. They never had anything to give you, but they will now, because we got to give them dollarium. So that's what we're going to be doing throughout the whole time, is just, you know, now that we've removed the corporate covering, and again, this is outside of capitalism. So any of the banks that we give dollarium to, it's only because we've already liened them, we've already done court actions on them and removed that corporate covering, and they're in subject status, and that's the way they're going to operate. Subject status puts them back with the reepublic. That's what it does. And the reepublic honors the Constitution and is beholden to the Moors. So they never had anything to give you. I mean, we keep looking at them like, when y'all gonna give us something, and they're looking at us like, we can't give y'all anything. Y'all got everything over there. So consequently, for the last, I don't know how many hundreds of years, we've been looking at each other like, when you gonna give us our stuff, you know? And they're looking at like, one of these days y'all will wake up and figure out everything belongs to you already, and you'll get competent on how to tribute it to yourselves and to others. That's it. And really, the only thing they were doing was bookkeeping. That's really all they were doing. Justice Yearmore, that's good. You said take the credit, pay with debit, and put it in their book as a credit to them. That's all they were doing, was funneling our energy in, recording it, and then funneling it back to us with a lot less of it. That's all they were doing. Our energy created so much. I mean, if you think about how much each one of us made for those corporations when we were working in those corporations. I'll give you an example. Go ahead, Nobility. Was someone going to say something? Go ahead, Nobility.
Islam.
Okay. Islam. Go ahead, Nobility.
Question. Those sovereign, I'm gonna call them dollars for right now, and they'll circulate in the community. Will they ever come back to the exchange? So if we exchange them at a supermarket, supposedly, or a bank with our autograph on them, do they ever come back to the exchange, the Moorish exchange? Or they stay out there?
They can. It's possible.
So they'll be.
See, here's the thing.
How could anyone use them if they were just have our signature on them? Because we're the only ones supposed to be able to use that dollarium with our signature on it. How are they going to trade that?
Okay, so that's why we lien everybody and do a court action and tell them they're in subject status and that everything that they're exchanging is a resource on our vast estate. And when you put them in subject status, whoever we lien, then that automatically makes us the CEO, so it's already under the Al-Moroccan American Exchange. For example, the United States Treasury. Well, we're that in red and all lowercase letters. We've liened them and all of that. So anything going through there is a resource for us. And all of those businesses use that. So even when you give it to if you give it to the grocery store, it's still operating within the Moroccan American Exchange, because that grocery store started with one of the businesses on the Moroccan American Exchange. Even if it's just the New York Stock Exchange, it's listed there. But see, those companies that are on there, most of the companies that are out there today, because there's really only about 1,018 companies that every other company springs from. It's about 1,018 was the last statistic that I read. And that statistic was given, put out by the United Nations, I believe it is, the United Nations Corporation. They said that about 1,018 companies, or they use the word corporations, and that all others are connected to that 1,018 in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Well, we're up to about 221, 222 companies that all of the rest of them sprang from. So when you give it to them, you're still circulating it within the Moroccan American Exchange. We meant to grab hold of all of the resources with the Moroccan American Exchange. That was our goal, was to bring everything under our control. And when I say our, I mean the most, almost. So it doesn't matter where you take the dollarium, you're still circulating it with either subjects or moors, and it's still within the Moroccan American Exchange.
Okay.
And the same way that they use those bonds that you sign, because the bond is not even, we were signing, bonds and all that kind of stuff, and, all of that. Okay. Many of us in the past, when in our fleet. The same way they used our signatures in our fleet, they can use the sovereign in our sovereign autograph, except they cannot use it as if we're property. They are, we're not the capital in this case.
Okay. Question.
That's why it has to be in red. Mm-hmm.
Once I sign the dollarium and exchange it, who else can use it?
Mm-hmm. Who else can use the dollarium?
Yeah. It has my name, my appellation on it, my thumbprint.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Who else can use it?
So, once you do that, it's going to be where they take it in, and then they give it to the bank, and the bank will put the amount of credits into their resource account.
Okay, that answers that question.
Yes. Yeah.
And then the bank does what with it?
And then the bank puts it on their books as a credit. So then they take all of the credit from the creditors, and they say, hey, creditors, what would you like for us to do with this? But we're giving them their orders and commands. And all we're doing is growing the vast estate with the credit. We're saying any new moors that come in, honor what they do, and let's work through everything that we need to work through so that the heirs get what they need.
Okay. So once I sign it and...
there is, now, Justice Yearmore put something in the chat. He said anyone can use it. And in a way, that's true, too. See,
how?
When they see as money, the same way you would use a dollar, the same way you would use any other thing.
But
if they come across it, they're going to see.
You said earlier, in order to use it, you have to have everything line up. You have to have the ID. You have to have the matching thumbprint. So if another person has that, they don't have the matching ID or the thumbprint. So how are they using it?
They're going to. Okay, so the ones who the foundation, and that's a great question. We're putting in the foundation for the whole money system. Okay. They can use it to put it into circulation, but the signature, it's going to be a wet ink signature. It just won't be their wet ink signature. Okay? So remember now how the corporation, and all we have to do is look at them. They taught us how to go. They took the signatures and they use it to get debt credit, if I could even use that term, because everything they do is never credited debt, but debt is credit for them. And that's what I'm saying about the banks. The banks take it in, and then if someone comes in and they want 5,000 dollarium, then they can dish out the dollarium that they have there, and it'll have any of our signatures on it, and they'll look at it and be like, oh, this is one of the heirs that signed this. Okay, let's go here, there, and everywhere. So we're all going to be circulating energy among each other.
Okay. Islam, by you.
And yes, Islam, that's a great question. Thank you for that, Justice Amir. Also, remember on those Federal Reserve debt notes, they all had a black signature on them with some capital letters in the signature. And it didn't even matter whose signature was on there. People just used it. Same thing with the gold-backed money, except they're going to know that an heir signed. That's all.
Islam?
Yeah. Islam.
What one should do is study how today the the capital USA, uses what they call money as a reserve currency. Essentially,
yes,
what you're getting, if you study what reserve currency does, essentially it controls how all other currencies rise and fall, pay or whatever. Study that and you'll have your answer, and you never have to ask what it is, because that's exactly what is being described. And the U.S. can only do that because they are acting as us. They're not us, but they have been acting as us for the last almost 200 years. And that is where they get all, not some, all of their power from. But we have to start acting as ourselves and start being ourselves. Then we can make the changes. We can't make changes if we're trying to fight to hold on to the money. We need to get them to do this stuff, because that's why we brought them here. That's why we put them here. So our work is to uplift all of fallen humanity.
Yes.
Islam. I have a question.
Islam.
This is Supreme Day in Georgia Territory. Are some steps taken in making these dollars with water signs? I mean, watermarks or something to keep them from being counterfeited?
Okay, so ultimately we are going to infuse them with gold. We did find some gold infused paper. But here's the thing about counterfeiting and all of that. Anyone can print dollarium. Anyone. That's the way they're meant to be. They're meant for anyone who wants to print them to be able to print them. But in order to use, especially the first ones that are going out, the heirs that use the first dollarium that go out, you have to have the right, the ID, your ID. Because see, that's why we're doing what we're doing with the Al-Moroccan American Exchange. Before we give it out, we're going to make sure that it's the heirs that have it. But I'll tell you this: in order to use it, you do have to have, you must be an heir to use it. See, the hybrids won't be able to use it if they're not standing in their proper status as subjects. They have to be in subject status because it's a contract too. It's an agreement to use lawful money. We just explained how it's a contract. So we don't care, and it's not that we don't care. It is designed so that anyone can print it off on their printer at home, but the the security feature is going to be a red wet ink signature and a right red thumbprint, because that right red thumbprint is going to tell who it is and if they are in error or not. What would prevent and this is a question in the chat, what would prevent an Albion from signing in red in lowercase letters with a thumbprint? Well, if they want to take a chance and go that far in trying to be us, I would not want to see what happens. What would stop them from doing that is the same thing that stopped them from killing all of us on the spot. Think about all that we're doing. They know what we're doing. Our ancestors do not play. I'm telling you, their creator would prevent them from going that far. They won't do it. That's why they had to create a whole black system instead of just using the estate and just being us and killing all of us off. We know they had the weapon. Why didn't they do it? Look at our teachers. Our teachers are just teaching, teaching, teaching. Why didn't they do anything? Because they can't. If they could, they would. They see what we're doing. How come you don't see any of them on YouTube or whatever with red telling everybody, hey, use this moorishe letterhead with red writing because that's what the Arabs are doing and we're going to do what they do? How come you don't see that? How come you don't see them on YouTube saying we're the heirs to the original indigenous heirs and not them? How come you don't see that? Because they know their place. We're the only ones who didn't know our place. We cannot hear you, Empress Shade. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Yes, Justice Jezreel, there's a line that they cannot cross. We put it in them that when we stand, and I saw this with my own eyes, when we stand and honor our foremothers and forefathers, there is an energy, an ancestral energy that comes in that is so powerful that no one dare cross the line. No one. Woodrow Wilson told them, he has a statement that he put out there about us. He said, there is a power that is so strong and so powerful and so subtle that none dare to speak above a whisper against it. And I'm paraphrasing what he said. They would not do it. They won't do it. What is it that's keeping them from kicking the door in and just coming on in and they won't do it. When we're right, they won't do it. If we're being tested, we'll already know that they're not going to hurt us. Because all we got to do is stand. Don't you think they know who all we are? They know our mailing locations and everything. They've been here. They came here 3 weeks in a row. Why didn't they kick the door in when they came 3 weeks in a row? I told y'all about that. I was scared. I was a little scared. But I said, ancestors, that's y'all's problem. That is not mine. I'm going to get in this bed and go to sleep because that's not my problem down there. I got up into the window, took their photo, did a court action, and they stopped coming. So just one moment. Just one moment. Okay. Okay, I want to make sure. Let me open. Yes. All you have to do is know who you are. When we know who we are, we will know that no matter what we do, as long as we're honoring our mother and father, they're not going to step beyond. They're not going to do anything. Why do you think I feel so comfortable I posted my ID out there on social media? I'm not worried about them copying it and pretending to be me. I'm not worried about that. Because they got a higher authority in the spirit realm that they answer to. And that higher authority comes from each one of us. Look how much authority we gave fiat.
Islam? Okay, now you can hear me. Okay, I had to come out and come back in. I was just gonna go on to two things. Number one, exactly what you're talking about now. If all of this time they needed an heir's autograph to do things, they would have been did, counterfeited. They needed us this whole time. So what's the difference now that we're doing it and, we're going to worry about them counterfeiting? They've been needed the heirs to do everything that they have done. They would have done it a long time ago. So I think we're pretty much beyond that. And for what you're saying, and if anybody would try to do that, it's the same, ramifications that it was if you tried to do it now. I mean, we're still going to have military and our jail system and so forth moving forward, but I don't see anybody really attempting to try to do that because they're going to, suffer their consequences along with, like you said, the spiritual, because the spiritual is going to make sure that everything comes out in the light, to come out in the open. That I believe that's going to happen. But my next question was, normally with the delirium, I just want to be clear that when a lot of times when you go, out the country, you go somewhere else, they have their own money system in place. You might use the money system that they have in place there, cash system, fiat system that they have in there, and you may come back to your home country with that same fiat, but it still can get exchanged in your home country for the fiat that was of your home country. So if you went and used euros, and then you came back, you still can exchange the euros for the FRN notes, and that's how it has been. So now my question is for us, everyone else, the hybrids are they really using it, or are they cashing it in, or the money in to get exchanged for stuff that they can use, and then our delirium comes back to us? Or is it in complete circulation that can be used like how the FRNs was used with everyone?
So, and Evvery, I'm gonna mute you because there's always an echo when we talk. I don't know why. So you must exchange substance for substance. And the hybrids know this. That's why you couldn't take a gold coin and go down to the grocery store and buy groceries. Or you couldn't take a silver coin all this time and go down to the grocery store and exchange it, or a gold necklace and say, here, take this, I want some groceries. Because they already know the fiat that they were using in the grocery store is not worth the gold. So there are laws that say they can't take it. And one thing about the hybrids, I know this for a fact, that they will not break the law when we're in our rightful place. They will not break the law when we're in our rightful place. So they're not going to, and this is where we are right now. we actually have to introduce the dollarium to the other nations, which is already being done, by the way, because we have Moors on all the land masses. So by those Moors that are on the other land masses, just learning about the dollarium and then getting ready to receive it, and when they receive it, doing the same thing we're doing here, notifying all of those that were doing business as banks, leaning them, calling them into their sovereign court, pulling that corporate covering off, and then saying, this is the real money that you're going to be using. And then saying, whenever you see this, you issue credits into the sovereign accounts for this right here. And so we're going to be doing that demonstration. We're working on it right now. We've already leaned the banks. We've already done everything that we need to do. And then we do need to have our own Moors working at the bank, issuing the sovereign dollarium, because, you know, the subjects don't really need to be doing too much with sovereign dollarium. We need to be doing it. And that's where we come in at. Moors who are going to be working in the banking industry, the not United States Corporation Company ones, but the real banking industry, the sovereign banking industry. Whenever you go for any of those quote unquote jobs, you have to do it with your documents in alignment. The documents have to be on Moorish government letterhead, in red and all lowercase letters. They already know what that means. And it's not we're working all of that part out, because that's next. We have to actually take all of that under our control. We have to. We're doing it right now, where we're putting the foundation in place to do that, so that when the Moors take their affidavits to these places, they know exactly what's going on, that they're being commanded to do certain things, and that the Moors will be doing certain things in there in order to ensure that the economy and everything flows smoothly, and that the currency flows smoothly. And that includes the post office as well. So, you know, it'll be back to the initial question, substance for substance. So you can't mix the two. The current subject system will run concurrently with our system for a while. It will run with our system, but it's going to be running in harmony with our system and not against it. So the banks that are those ones that took their oath to the Republic, and we already showed you that. We put the link to the video in the chat so that you could look at it and see what's been going on and how they've been moving in sync with us the whole time, in order to ensure that we get to this point and beyond. They're going to be operating in a way that we need to be learning what that whole system, inside and out, exchange, from one exchange to the next. We need to learn the whole thing. And in order to do that, we're going to have to interact. But we cannot, again, that's why we had to raise them from the dead, so that we could do substance for substance in the system and use the resources, the banking resources and the, you know, the conveyances, the domiciles, all of that. We needed to do it all as court actions, raise them from the dead, and then give them what they need in order to do as we command them to do. It's like commanding someone to sweep the floor, but you don't give them a broom. And then you mad at them because they ain't sweep the floor, and you're like, you're just lawless. You didn't sweep the floor. They're not lawless. They're not going to speak out and say, we need a broom. They're going to say, you're supposed to know that I need a broom. I'm your servant. Why would you tell me to do things and not give me the tools? Okay? And in the chat, Justice Michael says the same people are printing their fiat as well. They're not printing any more fiat. That's been the issue. They're not printing any more fiat, and people are not. I will say that when I go to these places out here, the grocery stores and things like that, I don't see people using fiat. They all use cards. Very seldom. Very seldom. I can't even remember the last time I saw somebody use fiat. Actually, I do, at Walmart. That was about probably a month and a half ago. And I was just telling one of the empresses, I was telling them the story of the one who pulled out the wad of fiat. It was an older hybrid who pulled out a big wad of fiat in $100, 100 fiat bills. And that's okay if it's Portia. Over time, it's not even going to be here. So, while you got it, I guess, because it's not going to be here. And those who are using fiat, don't beat yourself up. That stuff is leaving here. So, do what you need to do now, but be moving in the right direction. That's the way we're actually supposed to be doing. The hybrid that pulled out the wad of hundreds, it was so weird. I got the weirdest feeling. I looked at them and I was like, Federal Reserve debt notes, who uses that anymore? And it came out of my mouth before I had even thought about, like, and I said it so loud that he heard me. But I was like, Federal Reserve debt notes, who uses that anymore? And this is how I know that he knew exactly what was going on. He didn't even look up. I was standing right next to him. He didn't even look up. I felt his energy change, but he did not look up. And he had a Moorish nurse with him, and he was mobile. He was walking around. He just had a cane, and he looked like he was probably 50s or late 50s, early 60s or something like that. And he pulled out a big old wad. And she started smiling when I said that, so I don't know. But it was just weird to see fiat, Federal Reserve debt notes, and people throwing it around like that. Because most people use cards. And then we use sovereign resource accounts and all of that. So are there any other? Oh, I was going to give the definition of cash a while back. I haven't forgotten. Here in this dictionary, it says cash, C-A-S-H. Any of several East Indian or Chinese coins of small value. That's the first definition. The second definition is a Chinese copper alloy coin based on the tael, T-A-E-L. It has a square perforation in the center so that it can be carried on a string. And then, this is interesting, the verb transitive meaning of cash is to discard or to throw away, to discard. Cash, to discard. That's interesting. I'll have to do a little bit more digging on that definition because discard yes, when you cash a check, you're essentially discarding it because you're giving it to someone and they're giving you the cash. What do they do with that? They cancel it, and in many cases they shred it after they record it. And it's the recording of it that creates the bond and goes on to the stock market in terms of the numbers. So this card, and then also, that's interesting. Yes, to cash a check. Let's see. It says the prophet said one day you're going to see a $20 bill on the ground and you won't even pick it up. That's correct. He did say that. That's true. We're almost there. And some of us are there already where we wouldn't even pick it up. I just keep seeing myself throwing a bunch of it into a fireplace. I don't know why. I keep seeing that in my mind's eye. I don't know why. And then the brother earlier, the noble, said dollar. We looked up cash. I want to look up cash in a different spelling to see what that means, because a lot of times the spelling is changed so that it masks the original meaning of the word. So, you know, those who are computer programmers who have things to do with the internet, there is a cache in the programming. And the cache contains a lot of the language and the writing and the formulas that determine what each button or each click does. And I'm not using like all of the terminology there. But cache is also spelled C-A-C-H-E. That's the other cache. See, I'm sure that this is the original meaning of cash, but they changed the spelling to hide this. The meaning of C-A-C-H-E, cash, is, it means to hide. And the number one definition says a place in which stores of food, supplies, etc. are hidden. A place for hiding anything stored or hidden in such a place. That's what cache, C-A-C-H-E. In other words, see, when you're listening to the financial channels and things like that, and they always talk about certain things like Bitcoin being a store of value. A store of value, which it is not, by the way. They're looking for a place to store value. And if it's not the dollarium, it's not storing value. If it's not gold and silver, it's not storing value. And if it's not the heirs, it's not storing value. Each one of us is also a living store of value and worth and wealth and gold and silver, precious metals and rare earth minerals, land and wealth and commerce and all of that. So this is actually the original meaning of cash, because they talk about it on those channels, a store of value. And know what they're saying now? And this is why our dollarium was so important. They're saying now that there's wealth is looking for a home, because it's been decoupled from anything corporate, because we said so. We said terminate all corporate contracts, and when we said that, they decoupled everything from the corporate fiat system. So now there's all of this wealth here on our land looking for a place to go. And it's not looking for a place to go. It's always been at home with mama, which is all of us. So the dollarium is important because we have a measurable countability process and a store of value, a store of wealth, a place to store food, supplies, etc. Gold and silver and land and all of that is stored in moorishe sovereign dollarium, and gold and silver, etc. in land. So that's good. And then he said he mentioned the word dollar. We've heard our teachers talk about the dollar because that's the German word that the word dollar came from. Let's see. So, dollar. The definition here says, just what we said a little while ago, it says the German, it's German, T-A-L-E-R or T-H-A-L-E-R, so Thaler, a dollar, shortened form of Thaler, which is what our teachers said, or Thaler, so called from Jakobsthal, which is Dale in Bohemia, where the silver from which it was coined was first obtained. The first definition, the monetary unit of the United States, equal to 100 cents. The standard monetary unit of various other countries, as of Canada, Australia, Liberia, Ethiopia. Number 3 says the Mexican peso. The fourth definition is any of several monetary units used only in trade as the British Hong Kong dollar. 5, a coin or piece of paper money of the value of a dollar, which means that the $1, one dollarium, the one gold-backed dollarium would fit that definition. And it also fits this definition. Definition number 6, a Spanish coin or piece of 8 used in American Revolutionary times, which they say is obsolete. That's an obsolete definition. Trade dollar, a silver coin formerly made at the United States Mint and intended for use in the Oriental trade. Wow.
What?
It's interesting. They have something here that says dollar diplomacy. Dollar diplomacy is the policy of using the economic power or influence of a government to promote in other countries the business interests of its private citizens, corporations, etc. Wow. We've seen that. Were you going to say something, Nobility?
Yes, I was going to say, all those definitions, still, you don't hear gold, silver, or any precious metal or anything like that.
Correct. Correct. That is what, I'm so glad you said that. That is what makes the Moorish sovereign dollarium so what it should be. Is, again, our full faith and credit is the real gold. It's the real money. So much so that we could make a fiat Federal Reserve debt note into something that can be exchanged for goods and services. All because we put our gold Midas touch on it. So now we've created our own and put our full faith and credit back in ourselves and each other. That's major, because the more sovereign dollarium, it's going to stay on there ultimately, because I've been looking and looking and looking at other currencies, and even now, now I'm starting to be shown the gold-backed money that our ancestors used and what it said and how it looked. I don't think that our ancestors were ready for me to see that a month ago or 2 months ago or 3 months ago. Maybe they showed it to me and it didn't, you know, it didn't stand out because we weren't there yet, but I see it now, and all of them say either pure gold or 24 karat gold, or it says 1/110 of a silver silver troy ounce, or gold troy ounce. It will note the measurement of gold that dollar is worth, or that's the value of that dollarium. So we're learning a lot as we go. When we put the dollarium on the gold infused paper, which is just beautiful. In fact, I was going to hold off on putting this link out there, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there because it's really beautiful. I wanted you to see the paper that we're looking at. Let me also, yeah, I want you to see the paper that we're looking at. I was going to wait another week and put it out there, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there now. Islam. Oh, I love what's in the chat. I'm loving it. Wow. Okay, let me put it in the chat so that you all can look at it. Yes, Empress Shade, thank you for saying that, because it is time. It is indeed. If you take a look at that, and I'll go ahead and put it on the screen, actually. I'll put the website on the screen so that you can see it. Because I particularly would like to show you the Ghana money that shows up on this website. It's so beautiful. But it's showing different, yes, that is gold infused paper. It's a gold infused paper company. And they do, yes, Islam. It's just beautiful. Very beautiful. Their work is exquisite. And at some point, we're going to, you know, we're looking at all of that. So the introduction of the Moorish sovereign dollarium. Well, this is, if it has gold in it, this is why we never saw this money until, you know, recently. Yes, Empress Portia put something very, very key in there in the chat. She said, everybody else can make their own, why can't we? We're supposed to be making our own. We were supposed to be doing it from the very beginning. Making it and telling them you're going to use it. You're going to use it. We're going to use it. And that's the reason for the liens. Put them in debt, and they were in debt from the very beginning anyway. And then say, okay, now you're subject to us. You will use our money that we print at home. Because we're the Federal Reserve and we can print as much as we want to print because everything already belongs to us. But we have to be competent to say that. Yes. So what you're seeing there, the money that you're seeing there is not money that was heavily circulated. Though the money that you're seeing on the screen there, that
prohibited people from leaving Wuhan province and traveling anywhere within China or going to Wuhan province. You got to be kidding. Look. It is obviously in China's interest to find out exactly what it is. And the end of
Hey, Pauline, I'd like to run into you and have you try and command me somewhere. You might be on the end of a shotgun. I can't wait until you try to command somebody out in public. People ain't going to listen to your bullshit, Pauline. Why don't you videotape yourself going into a bank and trying to deposit your remote dollars?
Islam.
Hybrid,
quiet, no war energy in here now. Quiet, be quiet, sweetie. Be quiet. Okay? Boy, they want a war bad. We not gonna war with you, boo. We not gonna war with you. Woo. We're not going to war with you. There's no need to.
Islam.
Islam, nobility.
Yeah, what I'm doing here, I am showing you the Trinidad and Tobago $100 bill.
Mm-hmm. And
This
where is that from?
Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
Islam.
But they had the cotton dollar, and then they made it an illegal tender, and they took it out of the market and bought in this one.
Okay, your communication is broken up. For some reason, it's sounding really broken up. We can barely understand what you're saying. We can hear you, but it keeps cutting. You know, there's some interference there.
Are you hearing me now?
We can hear you, but what you're saying is there's interference.
Okay. All right.
But we can see it. We can see what you're holding up there. Okay, so listen, Ayers, did you see what he was holding up? Hold it up one more time, nobility. Just one moment. Let me hold it up one more time. Just keep it up there for just a second. I want to get a screenshot of it. Okay, thank you. So, I'll say this about the money that he has there. There are some hybrids who printed the money. So, why wouldn't we have our own money?
That's cash.
You see what I'm saying? Yes. Whereas ours is backed by our full faith and credit, which is the gold, because we're the primogenitors to all others. And we're not corporate. We're not a corporation. We're not a 501c3. We're not beholden to the service corporation. So it's a wrap. It's a wrap. And all we have to do is enforce our money. and use it among ourselves too. I like what you held up there, Justice Onlango, because that is further proof that we can do this. We had to start somewhere, because not everybody can, not all of us have gold infused paper, but we can start somewhere and we can use it, and if we enforce it, they have to accept it. Just like they've had to accept our IDs. Remember when we were trying to enforce, we did it, when we were enforcing our identification cards, and now they're awake and they're accepting our IDs? Remember that 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Same thing. Same thing. Except this, we're going to take it from the top all the way down, okay? Yes, Justice Jezreel, there it is again. The sovereign is the money. We're the money. We're the bank. Our teachers have always told us we're the bank. Let's get it straight. That's why a piece of worthless Federal Reserve debt note had any value, because the bank said it did. The Moors. So now let's make it so that there's never a shortage in our domiciles. Never a shortage in our domiciles as long as our printer is working. That's why we have to do this. And because we have title to the land where the gold is buried, and it's not even really buried because we're still it too, we're the living gold, then no one needs to ask, well, what's back in this? Same thing that was back in that fake stuff, our sovereign autograph, and our consent to use it. So, yes, ink and paper and guillotine. And the guillotine piece, the guillotine is the thing that we use to cut the money, where we put it in there and we chop the money and make it so that the lines are nice and straight and so that the money looks really good and it's all even like this, like that. So, yes, they call them guillotine Islam. So get yourself a guillotine so you can get, do what you need to do on your land. So there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is. All right. Having said that, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom to add, etc., to this conversation that we're having about our money, our gold-backed sovereign money? Oh, and my ID says gold-backed instrument also. Instrument, that's another word that you can use for these, for money, for dollars, is instrument. Okay? Yes, we do, kind of, sort of, but yeah, it would help to go ahead and lean them. Yes, we do. We do need to do that. I'm going to go with the lien on the United States Corporation Company that we did in red in all lowercase letters, and we're going to send that out also. But do go ahead and lien them. Yes, Islam. So that you have yours too. You have your lien as well. Islam. And with that being said, peace and grand rising. We will meet again on Sunday. Peace and grand rising to the Moors, Islam.
Peace and grand rising.
Peace and grand rising. Islam.
Grand rising.
Islam.
Peace and love. Grand rising to the Moors.
Islam.
Islam, Grand Rising.
Watch your love.
Islam.
Grand Rising.
Think of annoying spam calls. And our answer has fun blocking your robocall. Yeah, no. Yeah. I'm sorry. So you can live your life spam call free. Download RoboKiller today.
Islam.